Jermaine Dupri then clipped himself into virality for the wrong reasons.
I posted this clip from Earn Your Leisure interview that I did where I'm talking about me writing Kris Kross' first album and producing their first album and being 100% writer. The comments in this about this is crazy. I seen people saying I took advantage of the Chris's. I seen people saying I finessed them. I seen people calling me man, I seen people say you should blame the parents for letting me do what I did to the Chris's. And the shit just keeps going on and on and on, right?
No, the last time we heard about Kris Kross, one of them had alopecia. We thought he had cancer, and then he died. And people blamed you for finding two kids, 11 and 12 years old, and introducing them to the lifestyle. Roll it.
An extensive history of drug use that started when he was a teenager, but seemed to have gotten worse during the last few years of his life. He died suddenly of an accidental drug overdose on May 1st, 2013, at the age of 34, after being found unresponsive in his Atlanta home. A toxicology report revealed that the cause of the overdose was the compound effect of a number of controlled substances that were found present in his body.
But I want y'all to listen to the confidence, to the strength in how he's talking and doing all these things, because the internet will burn you. And it seems like the internet burned him. Check it out.
Yo, like when we talk about Jermaine Dupri, the CEO and Social Death, a lot of the conversations about my company is lost because of the South, because people weren't even here to actually see the amount of employees I had, the office, this, that, nobody's seen this activity because it was happening in Atlanta.
But is my way the record now that I'm out of here?
No.
Still. Because you make me wonder, is that your first unborn?
No.
Okay, no.
Jump was my first.
Jump
was my first number one. I brought youth to hip hop. When Kris Kross came out, the entire rap game was 20 plus years old. These niggas was 11 and 12. Nobody told me about them. I found them at the mall. They weren't even rappers. If I get a song that go along with the way they look, these kids is out of here. I knew them. You Make Me Wonder is the first male record from a male R&B artist that I ever wrote, though.
Oh, okay.
I never did no other male artist before that song, and that song went no more.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, and by the way, this is what I'm saying. You Make Me Wonder, 100%. Nice and slow, 100%.
So, okay. I mean, everybody that you wrote for and produced for wasn't on your label, but the people that was on your label, if you own the label and you get in the masters, and then you write the music and you get in the publishing, and then you produce the music, so you're getting all the money.
You don't get all the money. But
what else is there to get?
I mean, but by the way, you get a significant amount of money.
If you ever wish payday came sooner, this might actually help. There's a banking app called Current with a bunch of useful features. And one of the main ones lets you access up to $750 of your paychecks early. If you switch your payroll over with Current, you get a full set of features like paycheck advance, fee-free overdraft, and the build card and more. There's everything in one app. I actually like that myself, which is why I partner with them. And right now, they're giving $75 to anyone who signs up using my link or scans the QR code on the screen. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you straight to the sign-up page where you can create your own account. Just go through the normal sign-up steps, enter your information, order your card. After you complete those steps, you'll see the option pop up to enter my promo code, which unlocks the $75 bonus when you switch your direct deposit. So make sure you go through the full sign-up process so you don't miss it. If you ever feel like managing money is stressful and tight sometimes, it's definitely worth checking out because that's literally what it's designed for. So in his words, he has to come back and give y'all something that y'all didn't know, a little insight, a little education and history that it seems Jermaine Dupri can only gift you himself. Watch his way with words because it takes a hero tonality from something that did not seem heroic.
There was a time in Atlanta when young kids didn't want to rap. There was a time in Atlanta when young kids didn't even have an idea that they could become rappers. There was a time in Atlanta when a young producer went to a mall and met two kids that weren't even a group. They was just two kids. I saw them and I said, yo, what y'all do? And the two kids told me nothing. And I keep saying 2 kids because I want y'all to understand, they was just 2 kids. They had no idea that they was a group. I decided y'all should be a group. They had never been to the studio. They had never had a thought to be a group. They never wanted to be a group. They weren't running around Atlanta with a demo tape trying to shop it. They was just in the mall being cool kids. These 2 kids that told me they did nothing went from meeting me at Greenbrier Mall, telling me they did nothing, to becoming millionaires before their 15th and 16th birthday. So Kris Kross, right? So when I did the Silk Times Leather album, they got signed to Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers told them that their producer was too young and he had no experience in the music industry, so they wanted to have someone help me produce their record. I'm 17 years old. Mind you, I'm 17 years old. I don't know nobody, but I tell them I'm gonna get them signed. I don't know how I'm gonna get them signed. I'm just talking. I'm just believing that I could do it, right? We start cutting demos, we cut demos, blah, blah, blah. And we finally get to this one song, Little Boys in the Hood. And I send a demo to Joe the Butcher. This is the only guy I know in the music business. And he had just opened a new record company called Rough House Records. Rough House signs Kris Kross. Now, Rough House signs Kris Kross. Kris Kross is not signed to Jermaine Dupri's production company or Jermaine Dupri's record company, because Jermaine Dupri don't have no record company. Jermaine Dupri is a nobody. So it's no So Def. And they're not signed to So Def Productions. I get these guys a record deal with Rough House Records. And you know how much money I got from that record deal? Nothing. So Kris Kross got paid before I even saw a dime. For anybody out there asking how much money did they make, they got paid in advance as artists, whatever their artist deal was. I don't even know what their deal was. I wasn't part of it. They got an artist deal. They got signed to a record company. They got paid. This was prior to me making any money off these guys. We go in the studio. We start writing. We do what we do. I make Jump. Send Jump to Rough House. Boom, everybody go crazy. Put the song out. The song goes, I think, gold in a week. It was platinum the second week. It was double platinum in the third week or some shit like that. Kris Kross started doing shows everywhere. Doing shows everywhere. They blowing up. The box is going crazy. Kris Kross. They start selling merchandise. And Kris Kross started making $1 million to damn near $2 million a week in just merchandise. You know how much money I got from that? Nothing. I still ain't got paid. Mind you, just listen, I still ain't got paid. The record's out. It's doing good. I'm feeling good because I know I got a hit. You know what I mean? The record's #1, but I ain't got no money like that. I'm not making that type of money. They doing shows. They're doing shows every day, every whatever. I ain't getting no show money. They get bigger. They keep getting bigger, blah, blah, blah. You get more shows. They go on tour. They making more money in merchandise. They doing all kind of things. I'm not making nothing from any of that. So y'all, to the people out there that was in the back, y'all come to the front. You ask how much money did Kris Kross actually make? I just told you they was making what I got, the little check I got from EMI. They was making that a week in merchandise. Are y'all paying? Are you hearing me? Y'all telling me that I took advantage of them because somebody came and gave me a $1 million check. $1 million. But I finessed them. And I did everything. And I did all of this shit. With 2 little that told me they didn't do nothing. And they became millionaires before their 15th and 16th birthday.
But you did get paid. You had a previous group where you were 50 bands up. See, what you did was called an investment. You understood that, bruh, you 50 bands up in the early 90s. We're talking about 30 years ago, where $50,000 is essentially 90 grand to 120 grand today. So you telling me, bruh, you sitting there waiting for your money. You knew you wrote, you knew you made beats, you know you produced, you know you did a bunch of things. It's like the freaking coach that says, I found these superstar players. And you know what? I'm not going to get the accolades for winning all these championship rings until I actually get my championship ring. But he further goes on to just spread disinformation.
A large,
But you
the lion's share.
you get a significant amount of money. You don't get all the money. But I'm saying at the same time, what's funny with me is that when I be hearing people talk about contracts and this, that, and the third, the contract states what you get. You know what I'm saying? The contract don't state you're going to get jerked. The contract states exactly what you get. That's why you're supposed to give your contract to somebody and let them look over it. And then you give that contract back to the person that you're talking to. And it's supposed to say what you want from that person.
Well, what's your thoughts on that? Because I always feel like, for the most part, there's no such thing as a bad deal. Because people sign a deal in that moment, you needed $100,000. It saved your life. But when you sell 1 million records, just like, damn, I got jerked. I sold my masters for $100,000. Well, if you had leverage, you wouldn't have done that.
Well, first of all, I think the conversation about selling a master, there's never a master conversation initially, right? If you was coming up in the 90s and you was just getting signed to a record company, it wasn't no conversation about masters.
That wasn't even thought.
That's not no conversation because
when I would sit down with artists, just hanging out, chilling, we would talk about the trials and tribulations of the industry all the time.
I said, yo, look, man, let's do this. Let's go. And he was like, do you own your masters?
Unfortunately, all of us were signed to these really restrictive agreements where you can't get out of them until you deliver X amount of product.
I was like, I don't. I'm far from it because I owe this label about 4 or 5 albums.
And that product would actually belong to the corporation that you're recording for. Ever since my 3rd album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me.
masters, ultimately, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about publishing. You're thinking about production. You're thinking about trying to get your records heard on the radio, right? The mastering thing came into play like with Master P, No Limit, Cash Money, and these guys, even like Jay-Z. Jay-Z them signed to Def Jam after they still was, they was running around New York and nobody was signing them, but they still did a deal with Def Jam. You know what I mean? They own their masters, but they still was trying to get into these labels. It was like everybody still was trying to get into these majors. Master P them was the only people that was like
independent.
I mean, and Jay Prince, they was the only people that was like, we don't want to be inside these record companies.
June 7th, 1993 is when Prince came out with the whole conversation and discussion about masters and all that. And the whole industry, including Jermaine Dupri, fell deaf, dumb, and blind to it because they were trying to do what? Listen to BS. They didn't start to think about it until Master P started actually showing them how it was done because of a formula that he took out of the Bay Area in Northern California. But the Northern California blacks come from Louisiana. Just want people to know that. Just so y'all know. Just know that history part. So I find it odd that you want to take credit for writing and doing all this shit and everything and blah, blah, blah and all that stuff. But isn't that why you and Bow Wow fell out originally, was all over money? Wasn't it? That and basically him, Bow Wow saying Snoop put him on and it wasn't you, and that all this shit and everything. The thing about it is this. Jermaine Dupri, if you wanted to paint an illustration, you probably should have started with how your ass did the last thing. So now we don't know what truth is truth and which lie is a lie. Because in your interview, you just made it seem like, oh, you came in, you did this, you did that, and all that shit, and you got your lion's share shit. You talked about the merchandise. Bro, what the hell did the merchandise have to do with you writing? I'm trying to understand that. That's for them and other shit. If you wanted to be a manager, you should have been a manager. What people are talking about is how you're still eating while one is dead and the other one we ain't heard of in forever. Since 2013 when you did the So-So Deaf reunion shit. So I don't know what to think about this story because in one instance, I can understand what he's saying. But at the second part, it's like you want kudos for taking advantage of an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old boy for their cool factor? Don't sound like you did a whole lot there. Yeah, you may have wrote this shit and came up with certain things and all that stuff, and that's perfectly fine. And you have a history of working with the youth and figuring out what the youth actually wants. You are a good pen maker. Like you wrote for Mariah, you wrote for us, you wrote for a lot of people. But that don't mean shit when we're talking about two young kids who got introduced to a lifestyle that you helped introduce them to. You didn't say, hey man, shit. They was smoking weed and shit and kicking it and all that and blah, blah, blah. You didn't say none of that. You said what you said. Now live with it. It is what it is, man. Boy, this Jermaine Dupri shit just threw me smooth on. Everybody's sending me this shit. Man, Jermaine Dupri. I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Jermaine Dupri? And sent me the 9-bag video. And I'm like, bruh, ain't no way in hell. What the hell is he talking about? Why does he seem so damn desperate? But I get it now. When you want to win the hearts and minds, you simply try to win the hearts and the minds. But click right here to see how Whack 100 need to sit his ass down. Click right here for that video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.